Ross Marquand, and you're watching James and Jay Dissect The Walking Dead.
Yes!
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I love watching a little intro video there with Ross Marquand every time we do this. James and myself, Jay, over here once again to dissect The Walking Dead with you all. And we are talking about Season 8, Episode 4, Some Guy. Before we jump into the episode, though, some usual announcements. We are a charity kind of priority website and a little entertainment group here. So if you guys can donate, there are links down below in our YouTube and our Twitch channels. Particularly, we're doing a drive for American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. If you guys can donate towards that, that's appreciated. If you guys can't donate, we understand that. We can always do to help us out. It's just to like, subscribe, and follow us on all our social medias. The Twitch channel right now you're watching, or the YouTube channel you're watching. Head on over to Twitter, Facebook. Head on over to echo5studios.com. Like our videos, subscribe to our channels. Anything like that will help us as far as boosting us into the metrics. And more people watch us, the more ad revenue we get. And the more ad revenue we get, the more we can donate towards charity, because 100% of all of our funds from those advertisements goes towards charity. So we can't tell you click on the ads because that's against our terms and conditions. But you do with that information as you will. Other than that, James, what's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. I always like that part of the spiel. Like, we can't tell you to click on the... See, Jay is a good guy. See, I'm not going to do it. But...
Yes, unfortunately, term services, particularly YouTube, I did notice that. We can't tell you guys to, and we can't ourselves just click on the ads. But What we can tell you is that the revenue from those ads goes towards charity. 100% of the equipment that you see, that's just purchased by us over here with our own money. Because that was our goal. Our founding goal here was just to kind of raise awareness, raise money for people who need it more than just ourselves there.
Correct. But I mean, everything's going good. I love this episode. I thought it was the best of the season so far. I thought it was the most complete episode. It gave you all the elements that we always talk about from, last year when we talked about, you want to fear zombies. You had that here. Mm-hmm. You had the big death. You had several deaths. You had action. You had sort of a closure of a segment of the season. Very well done. To lead us into the next, the back four of the first 8, you can call it. Mm-hmm. So again, they knocked it dead. I mean, Jay always talks about the episode 4s are like the mid-season finales. You're gonna have a big episode, and it didn't let us down. So, the expectation coming into the season was it's gonna be high octane, breakneck pace, and they said the front 8 were gonna be unbelievably, fast paced, in your face, dramatic, tragic, very heartbreaking episodes, and they haven't disappointed us so far. I think every episode has gotten better. And episode 4 just showed you that, hey, look, this season is definitely, the complete opposite of where season 7 was to this point.
Yes. Yes. Oh, my God. I think we had more people die, in 5 minutes or in one scene of this episode than he had all of last season,
Correct. Correct. And even though these aren't, if you combine the first 4 episodes, this might be the most deaths in the series. So, I mean, you have to look at, these 4 episodes and look at this compared to other seasons. I mean, besides the governor shooting all his people and Rick going into the compound, the outpost and shooting up all the saviors, nothing compares to the deaths in this season. I mean, deaths on both sides now. is even equaled animal deaths now. Now they've killed an animal, so they've kind of matched every season where not only nobody is safe, but even the animals aren't safe. So it's just like this is a very tragic season. If you're an animal lover, this was heart wrenching for you. But how could you not? This season, all the people that are losing their lives. This is what war is about, and what an episode 4 this was, man. It started off, with Ezekiel's in the Kingdom Army leaving and saying goodbye to their loved ones, and Ezekiel has this false, he has this false assumption that nobody's gonna die
Yeah.
from his cavalry.
I like the flashback there, because when you first see him, you're not sure how far back it went, because he looks literally like just some guy. He doesn't have his get up on. He doesn't have like his stature. He doesn't have his clothing on. He hasn't put on that persona yet of the king, and that was definitely two sides to the same person there for sure.
Yeah, and it's a very good. I mean, it matched the title and it matched what he said at the end of the episode. I mean, he was just some guy in the beginning, and they even, the nerdy saviors, said to him, without all the stuff, who are you?
Yeah.
So, he repeatedly said he was just some guy throughout the episode. He even told Carol that, hey, I may be living a false narrative here, but really, this is the life I chose. This is what I became after the apocalypse.
Yeah.
And we talk about this, almost 2 years. These characters have to shed their old lives. They have to get rid of their old lives to survive. They have to create, different versions of themselves to adapt to the apocalypse. They can't just Carol couldn't just be an abused housewife and make it this far. Rick couldn't be the sheriff of a small town and make it this far. Morgan couldn't be, a husband and a father, and just hiding in houses with sheeted curtains. He had to turn into what he is. Everybody had to make that choice, to adapt to this world. So, brilliant episode. Let's start. Jay, what did you when you first saw, Ezekiel covered by the men, and you said it last week. You said that gun was going to do a lot of damage. You saw all the organs laying out on the floor, the bloody limbs. It was a total annihilation. It looked like a complete massacre there. So you were right. So what did you think when you saw that?
Yeah. So the 50 cal M2, I used to call it machine gun. That thing is a beast, man. I got a chance to shoot that, being a Marine in the past. That thing is just wild. Man, that is just some damage. Body parts, just like the show, blown over the, torsos torn in half from these rounds. It's insane.
Aren't these guns used for tanks and armored vehicles though?
They're carried most of the time by armored vehicles. But we do have some tripods and stuff, only because they're so heavy. They're not big enough to puncture armor of a tank or more the heavy equipped vehicles, but like a Jeep, that grill would have been torn apart. You would not have seen a little. We'll get to that one. That was a little Jocelyn moment there for me.
Yeah.
That should have been just torn up, man. That was eating through that sheet metal kind of material, punctured right through there, no problem.
Yeah.
The right angle could not tank, but maybe some personnel carriers.
Okay.
But Jeep, yeah, he'd be done for. You don't run towards an M2. There's no way. But yeah, even the body shielding King Ezekiel there, they went right through them and hit him as well. But he did get hit in the leg. He could have got lucky. Maybe they more shielded his view of the gun than necessarily, protect him. But I love that, they kind of do this almost cliche now, where the person wakes up just in time for the walkers to wake up.
Yes.
You saw that last, and just in the
Fear the Walking
Dead.
Dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
That happens a lot, where it's like, oh man, the one guy against everyone else is dead around him. It's like, let's just not make this a trope. Let's not make this a thing here. But a wounded King Ezekiel with his friends all dead. And I love the line that the Savior gave him too. That even in death they follow you. That was
awesome. That was one of the greatest one-liners by an enemy in the show. Quick question from me to you.
Yeah.
Different standpoint. What is the more creepier standpoint? Being buried underneath the bodies just before they turn as King Ezekiel out in the open, or being in an oxygen depleted food pantry and seeing the walkers turn as Alicia? In your opinion, where would you want to? What's the worst case scenario for you?
Oh man.
Ha! There you go.
Right. That's tough. Like
maybe because these are your people. These are your soldiers outside, and inside they're not soldiers. Yeah. You don't have weapons outside. You have access to weapons, really.
Yeah.
So where would you rather be?
I think it would have been great if maybe like the first scene was like just like pitch black, from like King Ezekiel's point of view, and just hear kind of that grumbling.
Yeah.
It's like just like shifting bodies. Like, oh man, where are they? Like, which one of these dead bodies on me right now is coming back to life? They both suck. I guess maybe even inside, because at least your trap is so no one else is coming in. You know what I mean?
Yes.
On the outside, it's just like, especially with a wounded leg, you can't really run that far.
No, you can't.
So.
All right. I think the creep factor was the inside. I think inside is creepier. I think outside is more dangerous.
Yeah.
I think that once Alicia got the guns, there was only one way toward her. That you couldn't get behind her.
Yeah.
And really it was, you can actually shoot your way out, where King Ezekiel was just an onslaught of walkers just kept coming for you. And that's the point of The Walking Dead, and that's what's so dangerous about walkers. And I'm glad they made this episode the way they did, is if you're wounded, they don't stop moving. They're just going to keep coming after you. They're relentless. It's not, oh, maybe, if you're wounded and you're going, not only are you wounded, now you're worrying about oxygen depletion. You can't breathe. You start, you're straining to move forward. The walkers are just going to keep coming.
Yeah, that's right from season well, that too. They don't get tired. I do.
Yeah, it was great line by Rick to he said it to Sophia when he was saving her. He hit her and said, I can't fight them off. I got to lead them away from you. I get tired. And imagine if you're wounded. There's nothing you can do in this sense. So very good. We're going to go back to Jay, though. I'm going to put some pressure on him. Obviously, when you saw King Ezekiel come up and he was injured, and then you saw the Savior, you saw the Kingdom soldiers rescue him, and you saw that little nerdy Savior there. What were your thoughts just in terms of, okay, where are they going to go from here? Like, as a comic book reader, did you expect them to go to the next part, or did you think that this was like a curveball?
I didn't expect the little nerdy guy.
No, me neither.
I think, once again, I feel like the writing was a little bit too much on the nose. I think they swung, wide last season for interpretations. I think this season they're really just kind of T-balling it up for the viewers.
Okay.
This some of the lines were just, forcing you to understand that King Ezekiel doesn't feel like the king now. By the conversation that him and the nerdy Savior was having, versus possibly last season, you've seen kind of King Ezekiel's face and you kind of interpret it from there. But I thought the Shiva moment was going to happen sooner. I thought it was going to be around the Kingdom Walkers, where he was she was forced to come out there. And every time they kind of pan onto his face where he's kind of panicking, I was like, is now it? Or they did the close up of the nerdy Savior. It's like, oh, here comes Shiva any second now.
Yeah.
And like it never came. Eventually Jerry came. I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
that was cool though.
Yeah. So they teased you on who was going to
Yeah.
at King Ezekiel. If you look at it, King Ezekiel was rescued by 3 people, 4 people, and a tiger.
Yeah.
It took 4 different people and a tiger to rescue King Ezekiel. So it took Alvaro,
Mhm.
and then it took
That's probably Jerry next.
Jerry was next. Then it was no, it wasn't Jerry. It was a nerdy savior. He rescued him.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Then it was Jerry. That's what I was trying to think of the guy's name, but he didn't have a name. And then after Jerry, it was Carol. And then after Carol, it was Shiva at the end. So 4 times they teased you, and comic book viewers were like, wow, Shiva's got to come in and rescue him. But 4 different times they gave you a different element. So they almost pulled it off. They almost pulled the wool over our eyes and said, hey, look, we don't have to kill this thing. CGI. We could just keep having Shiva in, just like we have Judith in The Walking Dead, even though she's dead in the comic books. We can just make this a recurring character. We can trick you. Yeah. But I think eventually you had to throw Shiva in just by what we saw in the trailer and just by where the show has to progress King Ezekiel's character. Because losing his kingdom soldiers is one thing, but losing Shiva is what makes him take a step back and say, I'm just some guy.
Yeah.
It forces him, almost like season 6. They could not get away with not killing Glenn to progress Maggie's story. You had to kill Glenn to progress her story. So, this.
I agree. It was, even though King Ezekiel has his cane as his little crutch, it's always been the tiger.
Yes,
that's been his strength. That's been the X factor that why people follow them,
and that's what the nerdy savior said. Take away the tiger. Who are you?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of foretelling in this. The nerdy guy said, take away the tiger. Who are you? Mm-hmm. Even in death, your people follow you. Yeah. And then he said something that was really, if you are an avid comic book reader and you kind of see where the show is going, this is the same thing that happened with Glenn in season 5, where he was about to get his head bashed in by the baseball bat. They leave little breadcrumbs and little hints on how these people are going to die. And the nerdy savior said, hey, your head on a pike will do just fine. Oh. That is a humongous clue. I texted Jay right away and said, how about that for foreshadowing?
Yeah.
That's a specific clue on what's going to happen.
And something else that was foreshadowing, too, was on their march towards the Savior camp, that one walker with, like, the messy skin, like the King Ezekiel said, what has befallen this, creature or whatever, like, before Jerry asked him.
Yeah.
And then we actually find out what it was. They don't take time away from the show.
No,
for
they
that.
Don't.
So as soon as it happened, I was like, okay, something's going to be tied into where this walker came from. And later on,
exactly.
we find that out.
It's going to tie into King Ezekiel, too, because he's the one who saw it. Mm-hmm. So just like Glenn was the one who saw all Negan's past victims, he was the only one. You can't just have Abraham and then you pick out Aaron to get Lucille. It had to be specific to Glenn. Nobody else would have seen what happened except for Glenn at that moment. Mm-hmm. So Jay he hit it on the spot there. I had one question. How did Rick and Daryl find Carol? Obviously, in the previous episode, the Savior at the end of the episode gave them the information of where the guns were going to be headed or where the guns were.
Yeah.
That's how they were on the path. That was a great tie-in moment. A lot of people didn't like that. I loved it because it was a tie-in moment. And it led to a Jocelyn moment where Jay said that 50 cal is ripped through the Jeep. And I specifically asked, is this the type of gun that's going to rip through a vehicle? And Jay specifically answered, it would have ripped through the Jeep, but not a tank. Well, guess what Rick was driving?
Yeah.
I specifically set him up with a layup there because there's no way that 50 cal wouldn't have destroyed the Jeep and killed Rick. And how he missed all those shots, that was a stretch. But, as for good drama.
Yeah. It's TV. Most people won't, notice that, but yeah.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So, definitely, when you get to watch these shows, and you get to have the observations as a realistic viewer, I think that when you have the sense that, oh, okay, this would never happen, you got to remember that it's a zombie show. Unless you really think zombies are gonna take over the world, which maybe, but they have to stretch it out. They can't just kill the main character in a jeep. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes they make it a little bit over exaggerated. But I think season 7 was way over exaggerated. I think that you need a little bit of those moments, but some of them make you question your sanity. Like, what the hell is going on? Come on, seriously?
Yeah.
Just some of them will make you say, this is ridiculous. But overall, man, I mean, the best moment of the show for me, the best moment of this entire episode was just the helplessness that King Ezekiel had, and then him having to helplessness and having to force himself to continue to be a fighter throughout the episode. He didn't just cower like certain other characters. Some characters like we went to Alexandria, and you had Nicholas, and you had Spencer. You had these characters kind of cowering in the big moment, and once they felt a little bit of pressure, they ran away, or they succumbed to the enemy, or they tried to like Gregory.
Yeah.
They tried to turn coat. King Ezekiel could have easily succumbed to the enemy. He could have just died, but he kept fighting, and he kept fighting, and that just shows you that, hey, look, man, he's drank the Kool-Aid of himself. Like he told himself, I'm going to be a king. I'm going to be a fighting king. And he fought, and his men died. He was willing to die with his men. And Carol gave us a great line that Morgan gave her in season 6. Like, you don't get to do that. You don't get to just end it. You have to keep moving on. So I think that they recycled that line to a character that needed the line in the previous season, and she used it to another character that needed to hear it. So I think this whole thing was just well put together. This is one of my favorite episodes, probably of all time. So I love the fact that the Kingdom Army came back to life.
That's like a double. That's like a twist of the knife. It's like, not only did you kill everybody, but guess what? Now they're coming to kill you. Like, man, that's harsh.
Yeah.
It's harsh.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
King Ezekiel with that those speeches and that bravado, and a lot of times these characters will have the talk, but won't necessarily walk the walk. And King Ezekiel, just like you said, just drank his own Kool-Aid there, and it wasn't didn't seem fake either, because he's seen battle, not too long ago, just charging in Alexandria. So he's a brave character, and he's stood his own against walkers before, and like you said, he's a fighter.
Yes, and he's not, like I said, he's not like Spencer. He's not like Gregory. He's not like Nicholas. He's a guy that's going out there, and he, when the going gets tough, he's gonna fight back. So when you have those type of characters, and you have those strong characters, when something bad like this happens to him, it's a defining moment. How is this going to affect him going forward? You lost all your soldiers. You see them turn. You basically, you lost your tiger.
Yeah.
You hit rock bottom. Now you have to come back, and you have to see all the loved ones see you, Jerry, and Carol come back when you're left with about 30 people and a damn tiger. Now it's just 3 of you. You got to look those people in the eyes, and you got to still be the king, and you still got to. This war isn't over, and that's what Jay and I have been talking about all season long so far, is how you're going to hit the enemy, but how you're going to absorb those blows coming back. This is a huge loss for Alexandria, the Kingdom, and Hilltop. This is an incredibly huge loss for them.
And we're saying that this is the turnaround point.
Yes.
And I think it was Mike Tyson. I'm pretty sure it was Mike Tyson who said everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth.
Punch in the face.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's what's going on now.
That's a great, and that's exactly what this show is like. And now you start to see, and the Shiva moment. Somebody asked me, did Shiva really save him? Did she have to jump in? Well, King Ezekiel was ready to give up, and Shiva was tracking him, and Shiva jumped in because he refused to move. The zombies were closing in again, and Shiva sacrificed herself. When she sacrificed herself, it caused King Ezekiel to move. You can't just let your tiger die like that and just sit there. It served a purpose. It's sacrifice for her king, just like Jerry for their king. This is showing King Ezekiel, like, look, we're dying for you. You got to move forward. You got to continue on. So, her death was as sad as it was for certain people. Two people that we know, especially Jay.
Yeah. Kelsey was heartbroken. She yelled at me. She's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" I was like, "I didn't know it was gonna. I knew it was gonna happen most likely, but I don't want to spoil anything either."
You should have said, everybody ate Shiva. Right. How about that?
Cat food is what's for dinner. But it was sad, even though it's a computer generated cat, it would never, breathe air in its life. It's, innocent creatures.
It's a sad moment because, it was a sacrifice and it was a tiger being loyal to the end.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, King Ezekiel just got done telling Carol the story about saving Shiva and how he jumped into the pit. And now it's her turn to return the favor. Literally jumping into a pit of walkers.
She did, and that was a great metaphor there that he used. And then at the end, it was literally, it was foretelling what Shiva would have to do to save him. It was like repaying the favor to the T. And again, it's linking, choices that these characters have made in the past. Mm-hmm. And they're either going to cost them or they're going to help them in a weird way. So, you're looking at it and you're saying to yourself, where do they go from here? Well, they're not going up. Not right now, because the next episode is showing you the generals of Negan coming together, and Gavin, who seems to be the wittiest one of the generals, is saying, there's betrayal in the ranks here. There's no way these guys can know our every move right now and what we're doing. Somebody here has turned coat. Now, obviously, the viewers are going to see that and say, obviously, they're going to find out it's Dwight. Not so fast. Not so fast. Remember, you have Simon, who, he spoke to Gregory. And he told Gregory to come and see him, whenever he had a problem. He's obviously given direction to one of the Hilltop members before. So he's broken communication that the Savior specifically told him to do. He took it upon himself to be higher than Negan at a point. He even said, I'm kind of like the man. When Negan's busy, I'm the man. So he basically kind of overstepped Negan's rule and told Gregory, hey, look, this is what you need to do. So now, the viewer's going to see what, the trailer, and it's going to say, well, Gavin's obviously talking about Dwight. Not so fast. They're not going to, Dwight, they have no idea Dwight is turning coat. Yep. Their eyes are going to either be on Simon or Eugene at this moment. So you really have to really look further than the trailer, and you have to use your mind. You can't have tunnel vision when you watch the show. You got to see the big picture and see everything that's happened. Remember last season, Negan kind of like asked Eugene, why did Sasha die? Why do you think she died? He kind of had an inclination that he was behind it. Now Negan is trapped in the trailer. So I don't see the rest of the Savior generals thinking Eugene was behind it. But now Negan is trapped in the trailer. The obvious two people that they're going to be talking about would be Dwight and Simon at this point. So, you do the math and see what happens. That could be big. But they're assembling and they're starting to say, something's not right here. We have to go back to square one. We have to formulate a plan. And then you have Negan, who's in the trailer, and he beat up Father Gabriel. You don't know what he's going to do. They're still trapped.
He's got his shitting pants on, hopefully. Yeah,
there you go. So this might be a slower episode, but it might not be. This might be one of the bottle episodes where you have the sanctuary and the generals there formulating their plan, and it's going to lead us into the back four of the first eight. And I tell you what, I don't see anything good coming for the survivors. I always say, man, it's got to get bad before it gets good. And I think that it's just, you start off good and you just loop down the bad. And obviously, if the all out war is going to end this year, what Scott Gimple said, guess what? It might end good. There's a lot of bad that's going to have to happen first.
A lot of bad. But even with Gavin, he was out there in the first episode of the season when Rick was like, all you guys gotta do is just turn against Negan. And he even asked, hey, can we have a few moments to think about this?
Yeah.
Maybe that's enough for someone to say, look at you. You thought about switching teams.
Exactly. And you have, and that could be a hint too, that Gavin says somebody, because Rick knew all the information that he needed about every one of his generals. So it's like the saviors aren't dumb, man. And another person asked me, I think I got asked this question a couple of last season, is who's the more formidable opponent, Negan or the governor? There's no comparison. I think the governor's weakness was he wanted totalitarian charge of his people. He didn't accept other groups. That's why he was killing the pilot. That's why he wanted to kill the prison group. That's why he wanted to kill Michonne when she wanted to defect. The governor only wanted it to be Woodburyans. He did not want to be Woodbury and this group. We absorb this group. Yeah. He just wanted Woodbury. Negan wants everybody to be Negan. And he wants full control. And if you're not going to be Negan, you're going to work for Negan. So Negan is much more a military general than the governor is. So my stance on that doesn't change at all. Negan is
like the governor wanted weak people so he can control them.
Yes, exactly.
Negan sees Rick as a strong person. He's like, I want him on my side. How can I break him? Yeah. Daryl too. How can I break these strong people and make them work for me?
Correct. And it doesn't mean, break them so they can be on my team and they have to answer to me, because that won't happen. Well, guess what? I'll break them so they won't be on my team and they have to answer to me. That's even better. Yeah. Because I don't want them in the fold at all. I want them where I could keep my eye on them, but I still want them to work for me. Mm-hmm. And it worked at first, but he met his match. So, hey, I see 5, 6, 7, and 8 as being very, very tragic episodes, man. I think that we're in for some, we already seen a tragic moment. We started to see some of the Alexandrians die. We seen the Kingdom Army die here. We seen Shiva die. It's not gonna get better.
Yeah. Deaths are just gonna keep piling up,
Yeah. Fast.
Yeah.
So, take it as you see it, or take it as the show is showing you. You could look at it and say, oh, this is just a drama. It's everything is predictable. It's really not.
No. I mean, how many times have we gotten it wrong? Where it's like it's definitely going to happen this way, and it's like, well,
yeah, nope.
All right,
yeah,
sure.
Yeah. And Jay has my prediction all written down and sealed up. So I think that's, I'm going to go out and give a hint. If you read the comics, it's not the same. And, trying to avoid spoilers and all that, I'm starting to see stuff pop up on top of it. But the show will give you the hints that this is going to happen. And if you're crafty enough, you can figure it out just like anybody else can. So it's just like, it's coming. So if you thought that the Shiva thing was tragic, this was just a taste test. Yeah. Tragedy is going to strike. So I don't know, man. I thought it was the best episode. So my last question to Jay is, compared to the other three, where does this stand, man? Did this live up to your expectation of the mid-season finale for you?
I think so. I agree. I think it was the best of the four. Okay. I think they've all been pretty solid.
Yeah.
I think we do need a little tonality change here.
Yep.
We can't just because once you keep breakneck speed, it's becomes like it's a monotone, or gets
It
tiring.
becomes redundant. Yeah, redundant. You can't have it. I agree, and I also think that we need a bottle episode. I always said that bottle episodes and filler episodes need to be strategically placed. You can't have a bottle episode and then have a filler episode and then follow it up with a bottle episode,
right?
Because it's just too draggy. So,
and this is a good break too, because everything's kind of tied up now. All the other current battles have been wrapped up. We'll assume that Daryl and Rick were able to pick up those guns and bring them back somewhere.
Yes.
Other than that, I think everything as far as initial launch of attacks are wrapped up. So now we're going to go back and a short time jump backwards to kind of see what's going on with Negan and what's happening simultaneously as all this shit's in the fan.
Yes. And then you also have to look at it like this. The show has done a really good job, like Jay said, tying up. They closed out the first battle. They closed out the second battle. And now they closed out, the different factions. Each faction, each battle these factions have ended. They're not, Rick, the first group attacked the sanctuary. They drove away. That's done. The ramifications of that is now the sanctuary has to rebound against a herd of zombies.
Yeah.
But that's done, and that's the second part's coming. The Alexandrians fought another sector of saviors. That's done. The saviors were called back inside the sanctuary where they were overran. Alexandrians went back to Alexandria.
Mm-hmm.
The hilltop, they fought a group of people. They brought back the prisoners. First part is done. Now we get to look and see what happens with those prisoners. And now the kingdom's journey, they went to the outpost. They went to go with the guns. They got the guns, but they lost. They had casualties. But that battle is done. So unlike last season when they dragged everything out, they've closed this successfully. So I think that they like Jay said, they've tied up loose ends. And then we got an announcement from Scott Gimple, Robert Kirkman and the Talking Dead. We will see the Oceansiders come back. So the Jay's Oceanside moment has not died. It is alive and kicking. And I can't wait, because this is the one, it doesn't take a lot to irritate Jay. I mean, everybody ate Chris and this are like equal. Oceanside and that are like right there neck and neck. So we get to see these ladies again.
Yeah. It could be interesting. Hopefully they'll make it interesting for them. Maybe they'll join up with Rick. Maybe they'll be dead because they took the guns. I think that would be mind-blowing, and I think that would break Tara.
Yeah.
Shit, we'll see.
I don't know, man. I don't know how they're going to spin it, because remember, it's a lot different than the comics right now, and we don't know where Heath is. He was part of the Oceanside story that Jay hated so much. Mm-hmm. So we got a lot of things coming up, and obviously when Kirkman tells us the Oceansiders are still in play, we also don't know what happens to the Garbage Pail Kids. We don't know, and that's what's so great about this season, is that we're going to get those answers soon.
Yeah, I mean, Pollyanna is a title character, and we haven't seen much of her.
We haven't seen any of her or her.
That's true. Yeah.
Not one episode. And we've only seen one episode of Negan.
That's true. Yeah.
We've only seen 5 seconds of Carl Michonne and Rosita.
Yep.
So we still got those characters that we have to delve into again. It's gonna get interesting, because you can't leave those super characters out. So we got to see where everything is going to go from here, and I'm excited. I'm just basically excited.
Yeah, unlike last season, I'm looking forward to the episodes and seeing what's going to happen.
Me too. Definitely am.
Yeah,
definitely am. Still working on our special guest. Wrote him an email. He said he's going to get back to me with some times that will work for him. And then obviously once it's 100% confirmed, we will reveal who the special guest is. Until it's 100% confirmed, I'm not saying shit, because I don't want to look like an ass if he says I'm not coming on the show. So
yes.
100% confirmed from him to come on the show. We will announce who it is. We will make it. I've suggested some, possibly a layout of how the show is going to be. Possibly it's going to be like an interview type of show because he is, he does have some fame to him. So it's special, for Jay and I because we love this genre. Special for me because, I don't want to get too far into it, but he's a part of a genre, part of the zombie genre in a different way than The Walking Dead. So it's, I really, I've had a connection with him, in his works. So it's just like to get him onto the show would be great. We can start juicing it up a little bit more in next upcoming episodes. Maybe, I did suggest, we do take a break, maybe around that time. That way we can fill the shows in, have like a filler episode.
Have our own Oceanside episode. Yeah, I'm excited to get a chance to talk to him too. Like I said, the just the genre and having other people passionate about it, it's always fun to pick their brain.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So it's definitely it's like right, we're on the precipice of it. So we're right there. Like I said, I shot him some ideas. I don't want to overwhelm him. He does have other things going on, but he's gonna get back to me. And we'll make a logical time and date for it. And I think once everything slows down, will make the most sense. Mm-hmm. But stay tuned, man. Each week we'll juice it up even more. And if for some reason he doesn't come on, then I'll just look like an asshole. But I got the emails to prove at least I talked to him. Right. Unless I'm talking to somebody who's pretending to be in. So.
No possibility. We'll figure it out. We'll work something out.
We will. We answered all the questions that we had. We had a couple of good questions that are for some future episodes. We had some obvious questions that I don't think that I think that is kind of I think the answers to those questions are kind of obvious, like where Shiva come from. I think that's an obvious there. I think that people just maybe lost track of reality there a little bit with that. Yeah. A good question about Morales was, why did they bring him back just to kill him off? Do you see a back story with Morales? I think they brought him back because it was like an Easter egg. It was like a fan appreciation thing. I think they only brought him back to show you that, the world is bigger and we're just getting Rick's story. There's Morales took the same journey. I think he explained it to Rick. I took the same exact journey. I lost my family. You lost Lori. I've lost my friends on the way. You found Alexandria. I found the sanctuary. The only difference is I'm the guy with the gun. And in reality, the only difference was he died. Rick stayed alive. So I think it was like you kind of have to use your own imagination on what Morales is going through. I don't think that they're going to extend it anymore. I think that Morales was just a treat for the fans, a callback to season 1. Use your own interpretation of what happened to him. They don't have to show you every little thing. Like they don't show you Merle Dixon's background. Just, use your own thought process on how you think he got to that point. And it's very, it's open-ended. So,
I love that. I love how
I do too.
It's like a crossroads. Two paths diverge right there. One went east, one went west, and next thing you know, one's a good guy, one's a bad guy. It's interpretable.
Exactly. So, and that's just how they want you to look at it. This is Rick Grimes' story.
Yeah.
It's not Morales' story.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. Maybe they'll be forced into telling Negan's side of the story, but that's Negan. You're not going to tell Morales' story, so it's interpretation here. Yeah. I don't think we'll see much more of Morales. I think if anything, maybe an extended clip on a DVD. But that's it. I think that that's closed down for him, and I think that that's that.
I agree.
Yeah. That's all I got, man.
Yeah, same here. One hell of an episode, though. I tell you, that car chase was fun too. That was like a callback to old school action, movies. There, he's jumping inside the other vehicle. That was pretty fun.
And I like the coordination between Rick and Daryl in that car chase too. When Rick swerved out of the way, the Savior thought it was all said and done, and Daryl was right there behind him the whole time. I think that was very creatively done.
Yeah.
I think the tandem of Rick and Daryl are very strong, but I think there's a little chink in the armor with that relationship, because I think Rick is starting to see, and he mentioned it, I chose my mercy over my wrath. There's a reason why he said that. He's not just saying that. And there's a reason why you heard the Indian guy say it to Carl and then Rick repeat that. So Rick is starting to choose his mercy over his wrath a little bit. He did it with Negan. He kind of did it with Morales. He tried to do it with the Savior. Daryl is the opposite. So I think that they're clashing a little bit here. Is that bad? I don't think it's bad, but I think we can have a comic replace moment or a remix moment here where a certain person may say, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And I think there's going to be a remix there. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, there was a character that said the same thing to Rick in the comic book and then walked off. I think Daryl is taking that path.
Even Morgan pretty much said the same thing to Jesus.
Exactly. So you got two of them who are like, hey, look, you can't do this. You guys don't know what the hell you're doing. Terror could be another one. If something bad happens, you got people who want to kill these saviors because they've killed people very close to them. And then you got other people who are looking at the humanity side and, all life is precious, but you're in a zombie apocalypse and people are trying to kill you too. You gotta kind of use your best judgment, and what is no right or wrong answer here. And that's what they're trying to tell you. Who's right, who's wrong. Morgan said it best. I may not be right, but I'm not wrong.
Yeah. And Tara's like, oh, you're right. Yeah, you're fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
You're crazy, but you're fine. You're right.
You're absolutely right. You kill these bastards.
So now I'm out. Now I'm out of ammunition now. So.
Well, Walker Sucker Con tickets went on sale the other day. We grabbed ours. James, we're going to hold out until looking for a good sale going on. Worst comes to worst, we'll make sure to get you some general admission.
Okay.
But usually there's some good sales on VIP coming up here with the holidays and stuff.
Got it.
We'll keep you I guess posted on that, because we'll make sure you get your ass down here next year.
Yeah, don't worry, I will.
We'll book the hotels and everything. We'll figure everything out.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, you gotta get down here.
Yeah, I will. No, this is, last year, the birth of my son trumps anything. This year, them turning 1 trumps anything. Yeah. Now I know when it's gonna be, and I know it's not gonna interfere with a birth.
Yeah.
No, it's not gonna interfere with the first birth.
Well, let's hope not.
I'd be like divorced and dead if that was the case. So, I can't. You gotta put Walker Stalker a little bit behind these things. But now that I know the dates and I know it's not interfering with anything, I'm ready to go.
Good, perfect, yeah. And if you guys are watching this, start planning it, man. We'll see you guys hopefully there too.
That'd be awesome.
About a full year to start working up, saving up for some money.
There you go.
It's a lot of fun. Other than that, man, good talking to you. Glad this season's going the way we thought it was going to go.
Yes.
A lot of fun, a lot of action, a lot of excitement. And just like you, we're looking forward to the next episode next week, Sunday. And we'll be here Monday to once again dissect The Walking Dead.
Have a good night, everybody.
See you, everybody.